The city of Gallup, New Mexico, is facing an unprecedented natural crisis as a series of severe, slow-moving monsoon thunderstorms unleashed catastrophic flash flooding across the region on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. This destructive deluge marks the second time within a single week that the city has been inundated by rapid-onset floodwaters. The compounding weather events have overwhelmed local infrastructure, breached residential properties, disrupted essential public services, and prompted an emergency multi-agency response. As local emergency personnel work around the clock to ensure public safety, municipal leaders are confronting a long-term infrastructure crisis, highlighting a severe vulnerability in the city's aging drainage networks and stormwater channels. On the afternoon of July 21st, 2026, atmospheric conditions aligned to channel intense tropical moisture into northwestern New Mexico. A stagnant low-pressure system combined with diurnal heating triggered explosive thunderstorm development directly over the high desert terrain surrounding Gallup. Characterized by high precipitation efficiency, these storms dropped multiple inches of rainfall within a narrow multi-hour window. Because the ground was already thoroughly saturated from a major storm system earlier in the week, the arid soil lacked any capacity to absorb the renewed downpour. The resulting surface runoff immediately transformed the city's streets, arroyos, and natural washes into raging, debris-laden torrents. The Oak Wash, a critical drainage artery passing through the municipality, rapidly exceeded its maximum carrying capacity. Millions of gallons of mud-choked water breached the banks of the wash, cascading violently into the surrounding urban landscape. The geographic spread of the flash flooding paralyzed vehicular movement across major sections of Gallup. Torrential runoff completely submerged local roadways, stranding motorists and leaving several primary transport routes entirely impassable. Among the hardest-hit sectors were Old Gallup Road, transformed into a fast-flowing river, with water depths reaching critical levels that threatened to sweep light vehicles off the asphalt. Lakeside Drive. Experiences. Severe accumulation of standing water, trapping residents within their immediate neighborhoods and cutting off routine exit routes. Sandy Springs Road. Suffer extensive erosion along its shoulders as rushing waters undermine the pavement, turning the roadway into a hazard zone for public transit. In addition to these designated routes, numerous commercial parking lots, intersections, and low-lying underpasses throughout downtown and suburban Gallup were transformed into temporary lakes. The swift accumulation of water left commuters with minimal time to react, leading to numerous instances of stalled vehicles and emergency roadside abandonments. The physical toll on the community is profound, with the second wave of flooding in 7 days exacerbating property damage across residential sectors. Unlike minor nuisance flooding, the sheer volume of water on July 21st forced its way directly into the structural envelopes of single-family homes and multi-unit complexes. Homeowners reported horrifying accounts of water-breaching residential barriers. Muddy, contaminated floodwater seeped through exterior brickwork, baseboards, and doorways. In many affected homes, the water advanced deep into residential interiors, completely submerging. Subterranean living spaces and storage areas were the first to fill, destroying mechanical equipment, electrical panels, furnaces, and irreplaceable personal belongings. Ground-level kitchens suffered severe contamination as rising waters coated floors, damaged cabinetry, and ruined major appliances like refrigerators and ovens. Primary sleeping quarters were left uninhabitable, with water destroying flooring, mattresses, and low-standing furniture, leaving families displaced within their own properties. The compounding nature of the 2 consecutive floods means that residents who had just begun the arduous process of drying out and tearing out damaged drywall from the first storm were forced to watch a second, more aggressive wave destroy whatever remained of their properties. The natural disaster rapidly evolved into a dual-front crisis when the city's subterranean utility infrastructure suffered a major failure. Coinciding with the peak of the surface flooding, a vital main water line ruptured within the municipal network. The water main break caused an immediate and widespread drop in water pressure across substantial portions of the city, leaving hundreds of households and businesses without functional running water. The loss of water pressure, occurring simultaneously with a flash flood, created a bizarre and stressful paradox for residents who were surrounded by destructive floodwaters externally, but lacked clean, potable water internally for drinking, cooking, or basic sanitation. The sweeping nature of the flooding and utility failures forced the immediate suspension of community activities. Notably, the city's highly anticipated and culturally significant Summer Native Dances program had to be officially canceled. The venue, plagued by standing water and compromised safety access points, could not safely accommodate performers or spectators. This cancellation stands as a poignant symbol of the immediate impact the storm has had on the social fabric and seasonal tourist economy of Gallup. In the immediate aftermath of the deluge, Gallup's municipal leadership, spearheaded by the mayor, took to public channels to address the root causes of the recurring catastrophe. An engineering assessment conducted during the height of the crisis revealed that the city's stormwater system failed primarily due to massive mechanical blockages. The heavy winds and initial rains of the monsoon season broke down heavy vegetation, large tree branches, and urban debris upstream. As this loose material was swept into the arroyos and concrete culverts, it formed tightly wedged, impenetrable dams. These debris clogs completely choked off the capacity of the drainage system, forcing incoming floodwaters to spill outward over the banks and into the streets and residential neighborhoods. The Gallup Police Department, alongside the Gallup Fire Department and emergency medical personnel, operated under maximum mobilization parameters throughout July 21st and into the subsequent morning hours. First responders faced a barrage of simultaneous emergency calls ranging from structural rescues to vehicle extractions. Monsoon-triggered flash flooding has once again struck the mountain community of Ruidoso, New Mexico, as heavy rains over recent wildfire burned scars sent torrents of water and debris crashing down onto local highways and residential zones. Local emergency crews and state transportation officials are currently on high alert, managing road closures and monitoring rapidly rising waters across Lincoln County. The Village of Ruidoso and surrounding areas in Lincoln County are facing critical flooding conditions as the annual summer monsoon season delivers intense, localized downpours. Emergency personnel have been actively monitoring several high-risk zones, particularly downstream from recent wildfire burn scars, which have dramatically accelerated storm runoff and created dangerous debris flows. The primary catalyst for the current emergency is the severe vulnerability of the mountain landscape. Vegetation that previously absorbed rainfall was stripped away by past wildfires, including the South Fork and Salt fires, leaving behind a slick, hardened layer of soil known as a burn scar. Even a relatively small amount of rain over fire-damaged soil can trigger a catastrophic runoff. The water moves like a water slide, collecting loose soil, rocks, and charred timber. Emergency management reported active flooding and mudflows stretching from the Bear Canyon and Fence Canyon areas directly toward major thoroughfares. Water levels in Cedar Creek, Brady Canyon, and Paradise Canyon have risen sharply, threatening low-lying neighborhoods and properties situated near the banks. The sudden rush of water has severely impacted local transit networks, making travel through certain sections of Ruidoso and Ruidoso Downs incredibly hazardous. The New Mexico Department of Transportation, NMDOT, and local police have implemented emergency measures. Motorists traveling via Highway 70 are advised to exercise extreme caution. Active floodwaters and massive amounts of mud and rocky debris have frequently spilled into the lanes, creating low visibility conditions and sudden obstacles. Officials temporarily closed Glade Drive at its intersection with US Highway 70 due to deep, fast-moving water crossing the roadway. Crews with heavy machinery are working around the clock to scrape debris and reopen the lanes safely. Multiple secondary routes, including sections near Brady Canyon and Cedar Creek Drive, have experienced partial or full blockages from washed-out culverts and downed utility lines. Refusing to break under the repeating cycle of natural disasters, The Ruidoso community has activated structural safety nets to protect both residents and summer tourists. The village has expanded its Flood Safe Partner program, a grassroots network of local businesses that act as safe havens. If caught in the middle of a sudden storm in the Midtown shopping district, individuals can seek temporary refuge inside participating commercial spaces, such as Yesterlanes on Meckham Drive, to safely wait out the worst of the flash floods. Local authorities continue to reiterate the life-saving national directive: turn around, don't drown. Entering a flooded roadway not only risks the lives of the vehicle occupants, but also places an immense strain on first responders who must perform dangerous swift water rescues. The National Weather Service notes that the atmospheric pattern keeping moisture trapped over southeastern New Mexico is expected to persist. Residents are urged to keep their mobile emergency alerts turned on, prepare go bags in case evacuation orders are issued, and monitor updates directly from the official Village of Ruidoso emergency portal or through the state's tracking site at New Mexico roads. Crews will remain stationed at critical intersections to clear blocked drainage pathways and secure power grids as long as the monsoon threat continues.